So really excited here on to be chatting to Shifaan on my next episode. And the series and campaign that we launched is really to focus on information and to educate entrepreneurs, business owners out there on marketing. What are the challenges? What should they take note of for the year 2024? And we're really happy to have Shifaan here today on the Marketing in the Present series. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me. I mean, I've seen some of your guests, and so it's nice to be, on the lineup with him.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for agreeing. And I know you're also a very busy person. And I mean, I'd like to introduce people, but I think the best way for people to introduce, and to share what they do is to do it themselves. So, Shifaan, why don't you share with us a bit about who you are, your experience, and where you are currently?
Yeah, so a bit about me, the short version. So I'm a dad, father first, family first for me. Outside of that, I'm a content creator. I do videos, TikToks, podcasts, and secretly, I'm also an IT SQL developer. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay. I didn't
yeah.
know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So what happened was after school, uh, I wanted to go into IT. Wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. Ended up, or not ended up, but started out at Clicks, and I was doing like night shift work, doing the backups. I don't know how much you know about the system of the retail. Everything that happens in the stores and everything, there's information gets backed up that gets taken to an offsite, a disaster, and in case of any disaster, they can just recover within the next day. So I was doing that sort of thing, backup night shifts, and when my colleagues were sleeping, uh, I was teaching myself to code. So yeah, and then when I had a day shift, I would go speak to the IT guys, the guy, because I had no certification. So I would go speak to the guys who the engineers and so on. I was like, hey, what do you do? And what do you do? And then I found, okay, I like what you do. And then I would ask, what do I need to do what you do? Oh, okay, so that's what you do. That's the language. That's what I can do. And then I went back in night shift when my colleagues were sleeping. I was teaching myself to code. And yeah, over time, I became a developer or programmer for mainframe system at Clicks, and I moved around. I went to Checkers. I was at All Mutual, and then at Checkers, I moved more into SQL developing, and that was more big data. So when big data wasn't even a thing, now it's a thing.
Yeah.
But when it wasn't a thing, Checkers had the first big data systems in Africa. So I was open to that kind of software and systems. And yeah, so I was doing data analytics and report writing on big data for Checkers. Yeah, that was before I transitioned.
So let's get to that. Let's get to that transitioning aspect. I mean, I never knew that you were in the IT industry. It's the first time I find that out now. I actually know you because of marketing and what you're doing as
Mm.
a content creator. And but now talk to me and share a bit about that transition. How do you move from IT into the marketing space?
Yeah. So basically the same framework, if you want to call it that I got into IT. So with no qualifications, I just applied the same method going into content creation. So while I was doing my IT job, I was doing the exact same thing, teaching myself to write, teaching myself to take photos, teaching myself to create content, and that was on the weekend, and in the evenings. So on the weekend, I would go to my brother, my younger brother, was playing soccer in the second division. I would go to the field, I would take photos, and then I started up a blog site. I would write an article, create photos, and over time, I would start doing videos. I had video content, I had photos, I had articles, and through that, my content started to get seen by other clubs and the newspaper. And just to cut the long story short, at independent media, they had a post for a journalist, a sports journalist, a community sports journalist, and someone sent it to me. They said, "Look, you must apply for this job. What you're doing is exactly what they're looking for." And I applied. I told them, "Look, I got no qualifications, but I got a blog site. I've got a lot of contacts, so I've done a lot of work, and I've been on the ground." And so, yeah, I got into become a journalist, and I got to work with some of the cool journalists at independent media. through there, I worked my way up. I ended up at ESPN, and it just kind of got a bit bigger with the sports. So it was NBA, UFC, English Premier League. When the South African soccer team was here, Bafana, I was on the field taking photos. Whether it's the Springboks, whatever team it was, I was there. I was on the field taking photos and creating content. That's more how my content creation kind of started, from just writing as a journalist to becoming more of a content creator, covering video, graphics, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, wow, really powerful lessons there for everyone who's wanting to grow their own careers and to expand, just to keep on creating content, put yourself out there, and doors will open up. And so, where are you now at the moment? What are you doing now, currently? Seeing
Yeah.
that you've been shifted from IT into the sports industry, and just share a bit about where you now.
Yeah. So independent media was covering mostly like hard news, soft news, so all kinds of news. And so now I transition over to kind of more B2B space. So I'm now with the Cape Chamber of Commerce, and we deal with government, with industry, with ESCOM, with the ports, with all industries, all sectors, and so that is where my content creation is now. So I get to work with those kind of caliber of people, but because of where I come from, the hard news, it's not a new thing for me. It's just a different playground. So I'm just playing in a different playground, but the concepts and the ideas and the way I initiate, it's all the same kind of principles. I just move over to a different playground, and I play in their playground, which is more B2B space. Yeah, and that's where I am now.
Lovely, and I'm glad that you're actually in that space because you mentioned a couple of the industries and sectors, and it can seem a bit corporate or a bit monotonous in a way when it comes to content. And so we need people like you, with that creativity and insight, just to add something a bit different and to bring that different to people who's associated with organizations like the Cape Chamber of Commerce. And so tell me, Shifaan, I know you've been in you have quite a bit of experience in the IT industry as a journalist, and now in the business sector. And so what do you think are one of the most common mistakes businesses are making and entrepreneurs are making when it comes to marketing per se, and when it comes to the content creation, when it comes to putting their business out online and on social media?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's quite easy to see. It stares at you in the face, and one of them they don't realize is they're still using old marketing tactics. So when social media came out, so there was social media marketing. When blogs came out, it was the blog post, and most of them are still working with that old kind of concepts and ideas. And it might be because I don't come from a traditional marketing background. So the stuff that I learned was all kind of, like they say, from the streets. So the things that I do is I'm in social media, I see what's happening now, and I can adapt and I can change. Whereas the people in these corporate positions, they have learned this thing, and to do that thing, I have to follow this process. Where I'm like, okay, I don't have a process. Okay, what's working now, and how do I do that now? So a lot of them are doing like sales kind of content where they're mostly selling. So we have a product, we have a event coming up, and they say, okay, buy this thing. This is what I got, buy it. Or this is the event I'm having. Yeah, buy your ticket, get your ticket. So it's a lot of salesy kind of content instead of like creating content where they can create, community connections, add value, give people things. So there's none of that happening where they say, okay, let me teach you, let me show you to do this, and using the information or the knowledge that they have to give to other people and to create that relationship. And when we have that relationship, it's easier to sell the thing that you're trying to sell. In fact, you don't even have to sell it. They will come ask you, hey, you know what you should do? You should have an event. Or they would say, when is your next event? I would love to come because I enjoy the stuff that you're putting out. So just changing that mindset from stop selling and more about giving and adding value to the other people. I mean, a cold call. If someone phones me now, hey, I'm from so and so. Like, the first thing you're gonna do is, I don't have time. Boom.
Yeah.
And that is what people don't understand, that the digital landscape is the same as in the real kind of real world. The same way you would treat people, like digital, treat them the same. You're not just gonna go up to someone randomly in the road and say, "Look, yeah, I got this thing. Do you want to buy it?" So just that little bit of mindset shift of stop selling and more giving. It's more about themselves instead of what can I give to other people.
Great tips shared there, and I totally agree with you as well. I think that too many are trying to sell, and I think that there is some sort of expectation, like ourselves, when business owners come into contact with us, that's what they are wanting to do immediately. They are wanting to sell via the various tools. And so there's an element of education where we have to educate them and say, you know what, this is a process. It's a process of building relationships and building community, and then you can sell, but don't come
Yeah.
up straight and try and sell immediately. And
Yeah.
so I
And I
mean,
mean, that's the challenge for us also. For us as creators, as marketers, or that's our challenge. So we see the problem, but it's for us to change that situation. So yes, we need the work, and so the client comes, they say, "Can you do this?" And we're like, "Okay, I do it." Client's happy, we did it. But you should be like brave enough to say, like, "Look, at that doesn't work anymore. Maybe we should do it like this." And you're not going to get that sale now. That sale might come 6 months or 8 months or a year from now, and that is kind of my values. So it comes to aligning with values, having the client, you guys have the same goals, the same visions, the same values. Are you just looking for a quick sale now? Then okay, we can do that. But if this is your business, you should invest in the brand and building the brand, and it's going to be a longer game. So let's move away from the sale. We can get the sale now, but if you build a brand, the brand's going to sell by itself. So it's up to us to change that kind of lens or view.
yeah, thank you for that view. And you reminded me now of I think in today's time we kind of spoiled in a way, because you can order foods. I mean, it can come to you within half an hour. You can order a ride. It can come to you within less than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And with that thinking, that really plays with the mind, because now you start to think that is actually the way life happens. So everything that you do or everything that you want to tap into, it's going to be that quick and going to be that fast. Same with starting a business. So it doesn't help that certain industries are also making things quick because and faster, because it affects our thinking as human beings, and we start to then think that that is how things are in life. So tell me, Shifaan, you shared quite a bit of insights around content creation, a bit about educating, using the platforms in a way to build relationships, and with that is often various tools or certain trends that we also need to take note of and try to incorporate that into what we are doing from a strategy point of view when it comes to the business. And so, what is maybe one or two of the trends that you see or that you've maybe taken note of for the year 2024 that you really think business owners and entrepreneurs, companies out there, brands should take note of?
Yeah, that's always a difficult one because you can't see into the future. You can come up with a nice kind of guesstimate. But what I can say is, for me personally, I don't like to hop on trends. So yeah, I understand the question of what trends are there. So for me personally, I don't like to hop on trends. I like to just change that up a little bit and say, where's the attention? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to put the product or the service or whatever it is from our clients in front of the audience. So where is the audience? So for me, I ask the question, okay, where's the audience? Or not rather, what's the trend? I ask, where's the audience? So if the audience is in TikTok, I'm going to say, this is where we need to play. And then business is going to say, no, but that's for youngsters. That's for people who's playing games or they're making dance challenges. I'm like, yeah, true. So was Facebook when they started out. It was for university students, and now it's the biggest kind of marketing or social media platform out there. So that's how Facebook changed, and then there's Instagram, and then they came TikTok. And yes, one of my clients, her audience is kind of more on the older side, um, say 35 plus to 60. And so I told her, look here, so she was like, okay, where do we need to be? What's the trend? What are the people doing? So I said, okay, we need to be on TikTok. And she's like, no, that's for children. So I said, and she's also much older. So there it was my job to educate her. And so I said, okay, this is where the audience is. You want to put your content in front of the right people, right? So I'm saying that this is where the audience is. And after creating content for a couple of months, 3, 4, 5 months, I can go back to her and show her the data. And I told her, take a look.
Wow.
Look at your audience, 45 years old. 45-year-old, half male, half female. So it's not mostly female.
Yeah.
There's half. A lot of the time, the data shows mostly female, but those were straight down the pipe, half male, half female, and 45 to 60-year-olds. And so now when she walks away, she'll tell her friends, hey, I know where the 45 and 60-year-olds are playing, which is TikTok. Which so it can be different, but the audience is there. That's where the people are. So for me, I would ask myself, so okay, where's the attention? So at that point in time, it was TikTok. Right now, going into 2024, to get to your question, um, I would say that LinkedIn is kind of that place now, which is perfect for us because we're in the B2B space.
Mm.
So we don't really have to go
Mhm.
anywhere. We just have to make the most of this platform we are. And for yourself, like you've probably been most of your time is spent on LinkedIn because you're looking for clients, which is business or CEOs. And so for you and for me and for other B2B people, it's perfect. We are here now. And everybody's going to come play in our playground. But we've been here for so long, so we know how to play here. So you guys need to adapt to how we play. And so yes, so LinkedIn is, I think, a nice or a kind of way forward for 2024. And you'll see more of the content, how LinkedIn has changed from mostly going to check your CV. Okay, I need, yeah, applied for a job. People saying go check your CV. They're going on LinkedIn. No, 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 no. LinkedIn has changed now to become more of a social media platform, and you'll see more content being pushed out. You'll see more how to do this, how to do that, and this is what you need to do to become this, and this is what I did to do that. So it's the same kind of content formats that you saw on Instagram, on TikTok in the video format, is now on LinkedIn, but more in a written text format. And so I've been playing around in that, and I've seen success within like the 28 days from having like 1,000 impressions, 1,500 impressions a month to 11,000. Like how did it go there so quick? And it's just the content that you're pushing out, and it was a test for me to see
Yeah.
if what I'm thinking is true, and it proved okay. This is where the audience is. And so yes, LinkedIn and then newsletter. I know it might sound like old kind of news for you, because this is your normal kind of thing. This is your normal thing. You when you go out there, you're telling your clients, hey, okay, LinkedIn needs to be strong. Okay, how about the newsletter? And through the newsletter, we're going to push them out to your website, whatever. So that's it's normal kind of logic for you. But for me, I'm in the B2B space only a year now. So it's been a learning process for me, and I get to see it. I get to see that how that upward momentum is coming now for LinkedIn and for newsletter. And it was funny because 2 or 3 years ago, when I was at independent media, my editor said, "Hey, um, we need to be more on LinkedIn." I was like, "No, why was it on LinkedIn? Nobody's on it." But now, like, I can see LinkedIn is that space. And right now, when I say something to someone about, "Hey, you should have a newsletter," they're like, "Why must I have a newsletter? Nobody opens emails." And then I think back to when that guy told me about LinkedIn. So now I'm thinking newsletter. I'm thinking, okay, it might not be now, but maybe at the end of the year or next year, but you build that now for next year. So I would say LinkedIn, I would say newsletter. And the main reason for me with newsletters is because you have control of your audience. So on Instagram, for example, you have 20,000 subscribers. When Instagram goes down, you have zero subscribers. You can't do nothing. You can't work. You can't push out content. Same for Facebook. Same for TikTok. You have no control. Those users or subscribers belongs to them. But with a newsletter, those are your contacts. If the email system goes down, you take that, you go to a different system, and you have all the contacts.
Yeah.
So you have more control instead of giving all the context to the big text. You taking it, you putting it in your pocket. You say, I will go with my context wherever I want to go, wherever I want to play. And yeah, and it's, with the newsletter you can play around, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. So two things for me is newsletter and LinkedIn, which might sound obvious, but just a little bit more depth on why I believe it's there.
So I hope that anybody that's going to see this video is really going to take note, that there are two platforms, and that's going to be very important for you this year. But not only this year. I mean, it's about building, long-term brand. That's really where you want to be at. And Shifaan shared nicely about the fact that you need to focus on LinkedIn, focus on your newsletter, and you also shared some good insights on TikTok. Don't ignore that platform, because the video is definitely still an important element that can grow your brand and business. So thank you so much, Shifaan, for that. And lastly, I want you to share a bit about what's next for you. I mean, is there something that's maybe on the card, something that you may be building, that we can look forward to towards the end of this year, or beginning of next year?
Yeah, so something I have been playing around with was outside of the LinkedIn, that I'm just pushing out content testing. On Instagram, I have kind of started like something that I call the Dad Squad. So you'll see on my cap, Dad Squad. So this is something that I kind of, it's personal to me. It's like a project, and it's more about highlighting the struggles and the wins, and more about dads and what they go through, whether it's mental health, whether it's finance, whether it's entrepreneurship, the whole thing about dads and the struggles and the wins, and yeah, and raising awareness. So for me, that's something I'm working on. So I'm trying to build that a little bit. And I have started a podcast. I have guests. I have one guest. I'm just tapping into all the contacts that I had where I interviewed them. So I'm trying to get guests, like, for example, my first one was Nassif Morris. He's a Bafana soccer player. He played in the Champions League. He played against Messi, that caliber. So when I can use guys like that, who are contacts of mine, to get the message out, because as big as they are, they also face the same challenges: divorce, kids, financial, mental health, and then through them telling the story and raising awareness around all these different issues. And yeah, and so it's called the Dad Squad.
I love that. I love it. I didn't just know about it, and I definitely agree with you. I think those are important elements that we often don't talk about, and don't want to talk about, and don't want to share about. But it's really important that we do, because it actually lightens the load, and it also helps to equip you. I mean, I'm a dad of two, so I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old now, and they've been sick this week, and it's been challenging. I mean, managing them, managing the business, managing the clients, and managing the family also as a whole, because remember, it's not only the children. You also have your partner. So yeah, it's challenging. So I think you're definitely onto something. I'm going to follow you, and on that note, please share your social media channels. Where can we look for you? How can we get hold of you? On what platforms are you? Please do share that, Shifaan.
Yeah, so I'm on most of the platforms: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, you can just search my name, Shifaan Ryklief, and you'll find me on there. On Instagram, it's still called Football Fan from soccer days. And then on TikTok, also CT Dad Life, or Cape Town Dad Life. But if you search my name, it will come up. All of those handles will come up. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much, Shifaan, for the interview today, and for making the time. Really insightful, and thoroughly enjoyed the information and the tips and the value that you provided in this segment and episode. So thank you so much.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Only a pleasure. Cheers. Bye.
Okay. Ciao.